Alright, yeah, and welcome back to some more Magic the Gathering Arena. Today we're jumping back into some historic Brawl, maybe with not the commanders that you were hoping or expecting from me, but one that we're going to be playing around with today because it has been a while, and you know, I like to cycle through essentially all the playable commanders at some point, and this one is unfortunately for some no exception. Today we're going to be playing some Teferi, Control. Usually when it comes to Control, I play like Yorion lists and avoid Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, because not many people like him. He's kind of a tilt-inducing commander, and they're not wrong. They're absolutely not wrong. I don't think I need to explain what this commander does, so let's just walk into the deck and talk about what we've got here. So with the new Midnight Hunt, we actually got a lot of new cool and important cards. We got things like Memory Deluge, which allows us to look at the top 4 and pick 2 of them, and then flashback for 7 and look at the top 7 and pick 2 of them. Pretty disgusting. We also haven't played this since like the Jumpstart came out as well, so we've got all of the digital-only cards, things like Baffling Defenses to give perpetual 0 on creatures' power. It's a bit of an interesting one that this is like legal in Historic Brawl, because you can hit your opponent's commander and they perpetually gain this ability. So if your opponent's commander is like something that cares about combat damage, then like this will just shut it down completely. We also as well have, where are you? Ethereal Grasp, same kind of difference. So this is a 3-mana instant that taps a creature and then it perpetually gains. This creature doesn't untap during your untap step, and pay 8 to untap this creature. So again, any kind of commander that cares about attacking or anything like that is going to have a bad time. It's going to enter untapped out of the command zone after you kill it, of course, but once it attacks once, then it's got to pay 8 every time, which is very annoying. We got Tome of the Infinite as well. Been extremely impressed with this card. It's kind of absurd, actually. It's 3-mana legendary artifact. You can conjure a random card from Tome of the Infinite spellbook to your hand, and it perpetually gains. You may spend 1 mana of any color as though it was any color to cast this spell. So it gives you a selection of 1-mana cards, and most of them are actually relevant. Even Fog. Preventing combat damage is relevant, considering we've got a Planeswalker commander that can be attacked. We want to keep him alive. But Swords to Plowshares is a card that we have in our deck, so hitting that is just drawing the card we already have. Light of Hope gives us enchantment removal, a little bit of life gain, so that's not irrelevant. Ponder lets us look at the top 3 cards, put them back in any order and draw. Not a card that we have in our deck because it's not on Arena right now. Technically it is, but you get my point. It's not a card we can play, but it's a card we would play if we could. Force Spike is a censor. We've got plenty of those in our deck. And we got Dark Ritual, ramp out your Teferi if command attacks is a bit of a problem. Duress, Hand Disruption, speaks for itself. Lightning Bolt is a win con. Assault Strobe gives double strike. This is probably up there with the useless ones in addition to Giant Growth, but we do technically have creatures. We've got Realm Cloak Giants and Dream Trawlers, and I think we've got we got Brazen Borrowers. Not too many creatures in this deck, or Torrential Gearhulks as well. But the fact that we don't have too many creatures means we can run a lot of board wipes. So we got Ondu Inversion, we got Wrath of God, Shatter the Sky, Settle the Wreckage, Day of Judgment, Doomscar. We're just going to blow up the world quite a lot of the time, and if we don't blow up the world, it's probably because we're attacking our opponent on the stack with counter magic. This is Teferi after all, so there is a lot of counter magic in this deck. Counter spells, vetoes, negates, memory lapses, you know, the usual suspects there. And yeah, I guess we'll talk about some of the other Midnight Hunt cards that have been added to this one. We got Curse of Silence, which is an interesting one. You enchant the player and then choose a card name, and spells with the chosen name enchanted player casts cost 2 more to cast. And when the enchanted player casts the spell with the chosen name, you can sacrifice it to draw a card. Probably don't want to sacrifice it to draw a card a lot of the time, because what you're going to do is name your opponent's commander, which adds command attacks basically to it. And if you do that, then you're slowing down your opponent on turn 1, which is really useful and can buy you a lot of time if our opponent's commander is relevant to their game plan. We also have the Celestus as well, which is just a mana rock, 3-mana legendary artifact. If it's neither night nor day, it becomes day as the Celestus enters the battlefield. Adds 1 mana of any colour, as most 3-mana mana rocks end up doing. And then you can pay 3 and tap it. And if it's night, it becomes day, otherwise it becomes night. So basically you switch between night and day, which if our opponents are playing any kind of night and day shenanigans, is really good to affect their board state. Werewolves wants to be at night most of the time, if not all the time. Some of them want to change over from here and there, but you can use this as you see fit. But it becomes an upside for us as well, because whenever we switch between night and day, we get to gain life, draw a card, and discard a card. It also means that we can play 2 cards on purpose in order to go from night to day, and then, we are drawing and discarding as part of our 2-card combo in that sense. And, we can choose to not play anything because we have lots of counter magic, and then we're going to turn day to night again. So it's really easy for us to manipulate day and night, so the Celestus is useful there. But otherwise, it's just going to perform its usual duties of being a mana rock a lot of the time. We got Faithful Mending, which is card neutral, but allows us to go quite far through our deck and gain us some life. So we play it for 2 mana, we go down a card, drawing and discarding, and then we flash back and drawing 2 and then discarding 2. I guess it is card disadvantage, actually, isn't it? Yeah. But the gain 2, the card selection, all of that is really, really important, honestly. And I would take it. I would always take this card. 9 times out of 10, we're going to have more than a card in hand anyway. So if we are discarding like a land, who cares? It's one of those. And yeah, I think that will just about do it for the deck tech portion of this video. We don't have too many games today, mostly because the games go very long with Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, but we do also have just a very long video anyway, so if you do enjoy the control mirrors, you're going to enjoy today's video, and if you're a little bit on the spikier side, then I'm sure you'll get some joy out of this one as well. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but, from time to time, I do like to dip my toes into the spikier side of Magic the Gathering, and this is certainly the way to do it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. If you do, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, leave a like or a dislike. I'm sure many of you will. And yeah, enjoy the video. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Ah, the old mirror match. Well, be prepared to sit around for 40 minutes, passing the turn. So that's what's going to happen. We are on the draw, which is less than ideal, but we do have Searcher's Canter and a Mana Rock and a Negate. So these are 3 good cards for this matchup. So I'm going to keep this hand. The mana base is also quite nice farmland for our opponent. Similar thing for us. Gates of Istvel. Alright, let's get Searcher's Canter down nice and early. Give us a little bit of that card selection. Hopefully they don't have a Spell Pierce or Mystical Dispute. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. And they're just going to pass. So if I did this and this, I can hold up a Negate. Sweet. A little risky, because I imagine there's a good chance they wanted to counter that, but yeah, we need to find a card that looks exactly like that. Some card advantage, something for us to do on our opponent's turn, similar to what they're going to do. Nope, I was expecting a 4-mana card draw there. Didn't get that. Alright. I think Reign of Revelation, if it resolves, is going to get us quite far ahead. They do have Castle Ardenvale. Okay, I've got a Sensor, and I think this is where we slam Narset. We're not going to fight over it though, because if we fight over it, they get Teferi to resolve. Although, it could be quite effective. In fact, because we got the Thassa's Intervention... No, that doesn't make any sense. If they Teferi and then minus the Narset, we just play Teferi and minus their Teferi. I'm actually going to go for this because Narset's kind of brutal. We'll go once. I want to keep enough loyalty on it that... Yeah. Let's go with Disallow. I want to keep enough loyalty on it that Castle Ardenvale won't just get rid of it quickly enough. So there's Teferi, Teferi. Whiffs. Okay. Less than ideal skipping a land drop there, because that's no doubt going to be a problem for us. Really wanted to play Teferi with, like, any kind of counter backup. And that isn't doable, so I guess we're going to go with Narset and try and find Fateful Absence. That will work. Um, 3, 6. So if I Fateful Absence to Fairy, they can enter a counter war, we counter, then they can go land to Fairy again. I'm also thinking of maybe doing it on their turn, because if the 3 mana here is just a counter spell anyway, I might as well tax it on their turn and fight over it. Yeah, let's upkeep Teferi kill. Let's check I can do that. I can certainly do that. Because even if they let that go, they can use the 3 mana to draw the card off of the Investigate.
I'll have a better plan now.
And that's also a thing I don't really want to happen. And drawing on my turn is a thing they can do as well, through the Narset. It's an interesting game. It's all about gaining the most resources, and our opponent is certainly ahead of us on that. Prison Realm, the Narset. I guess we fight over that. If they enter a counter war with us, they're not going to be able to stop the Teferi from minusing the Prison Realm. And then we get a reset Narset. Just going to pass here. They can draw off their clue. So, what I'm doing is essentially holding up in the Thassa's intervention, but also giving myself the opportunity to Shark Typhoon's cycle and get a threat in play. Could go with the Thassa's X4 and draw 2. Would keep me in a bit of a bad spot if they countered it, though. We've already seen Censor from them. I might go for it. This could be a mistake, getting rid of my only counter spell, but this is effectively card draw, so maybe they're not too interested in preventing it. Just going to make a 1/1, which I can deal with using the Shark Typhoon or the Dream Trawler. Still got counter magic backup. Going to hit my Hall of the Storm Giants, thinning my deck. Okay, we've got Island. Let me have Snow-Covered Island, please. We do have Field of the Dead in our deck. Ooh, Commit Memory. And... I think I'm going to go land. Draw a land. It's unfortunate. So if I play Teferi, I have 4 mana open for the commit. I'm going to lose my Narset doing this, but I think it's worth it.
Let's skip to the good part.
Seagate Restoration. Untap, untap. I mean, I could always X2 my Shark Typhoon to keep Narset around. It certainly has some value. But then Teferi comes down. I guess I could then commit Teferi. Let's give it a shot. This is a redraw after all. Tails End. The Shark token. Okay, so Narset's down.
This was overwhelming.
Ugin kills Teferi.
Recklessness and fear are the seed your path
Okay.
is unwritten.
This is just a really good Seagate Restoration turn. Short of them having Pact to Negation. Like, we drop our guard here, but if you just look at the sheer amount of advantage we now have, our opponent has 3 cards, we have 12. 69 cards left in deck, by the way. Nice. So it's just a matter of answering the board now with our absurdly huge hand. I think that's doable. It's going to be difficult, but it's doable. Essence Scatter. That is a bad card. Let's just go normal planes. So let's think. Tome can be swords. Could be a ponder. Duresses and lightning bolts. There's a lot of good stuff that Tome could be. Maybe we'll just start with the Prison Realm. That could give us a scry, which might mean that the Tome into Ponder might be relevant. They're letting that go. I'm just going to take care of the Teferi. Maybe they got a disallow.
I'll have a better plan next time.
Nope, Teferi's gone. Could be a commit then. They've got the mana to do it, but they put Teferi back in the command zone, so that's unlikely as well. Two, 3. I'm thinking I want to hold up and counterspell plus absorb, and then I can just settle or commit or something like that. I'm just gonna think twice. See, I could just like go and commit Ugin now. Leave open our counterspell. Maybe I should have just let this think twice resolve, actually. I've just realized that's not the timing for that card. Not at all. But I would argue that the board is mostly dealt with in the fashion that I see it being needed. That's an X0 Shark Typhoon. So, take 3. Life total is a resource, especially in a matchup like this. So, I'm going to counterspell. Potentially get a counterspell out of them, which leaves them vulnerable. Okay. So now we're going to play a snow-covered island. Three, four, five. Ah, dear, dear, dear. About Dream Trawler. Leaves me with Absorb open. I can discard to give Hexproof as well, so they might need to board wipe. And yeah, we're going to leave it at that. This should mean that I could kill Ugin, because I can Celestus. Let's get rid of Evolving Wilds. I can Celestus, activate Celestus, and then that's a draw and discard. I could also just draw an extra card as well. Really hate this Essence Scatter, so I kind of hope that they go for Dream Trawlers and whatnot. Okay. So because he went for the minus instead of the plus, that means I can work on getting Ugin down, but because he went for the minus, there's a pretty good chance that they had something here, right? They wouldn't just seal away, okay. Well, unfortunately, this card isn't balanced properly, and therefore this still works. I'll get rid of Baffling Defenses. Settle the Wreckage. Absorb. Think twice. And that's an Ugin down. Okay. Yeah, I've got my Absorb out of my hand, which is not irrelevant.
I must return to my meditation.
I'm gonna go with Tome of the Infinite here. Get this going. Activate. Got a Lightning Bolt. That's a pretty good one. Means if they minus with their Teferi, I can kill it. And I think I'm going to bluff having more than I have. Search for his counter. Deal. That flips next turn, but I have a Field of Ruin, so not too fussed about that. Opponent swings, don't care. I gain as much life as I'm losing here, so I win this race. And then they pass. Alright. So we're going to go Tome of the Infinite to start. Another Lightning Bolt, wonderful. I was hoping for like a Ponder so we could get an extra draw and see some extra cards. But this is fine. I'll go with the Fabled Passage because I'm probably going to have to use the Field of Ruin on the Iscanter at some point. So thinning my deck and upsetting the scries that I've done so far throughout the game is totally fine. Let's get in. Maze Mind Tome. Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, the Seagate Restoration, while it didn't immediately get us back into the game, has clearly, like, won us this game. Our opponent, I don't think, could ever get back into this shot of resolving a commit to memory and resetting all of our hands. I think it's just normal planes, right? No, it doesn't really matter. Planes, Tome. I have enough to kill Teferi if it ticks up, which is kind of funny. Let's go with the Celestus. I'm just so far ahead on resources now, it's unreal. And any time that I'm not, I have this memory just waiting to put me on 7 cards. Puts my opponent on 7 cards, but if they have more cards than me, then I'm still doing myself a favour. Yeah, I'm just going to pass here. Could play the Teferi down. There's a good chance that it maybe resolves. But I don't need to fight that fight. Let's see if they flip the Ascanter for 1 activation. So we're going to get in. And passes. Alright, so don't want to do what our auto-tapper there wants to do. Want to draw a card here. It's a Brazen Borrower. That's kind of good. What could our opponent have here that makes me tapping out on their end step bad? I don't really think there is that much. There's like Memory Deluges and things like that, I suppose. Disallow the Field of Ruin. Okay. That works. That sparkles with me. Yeah, I'm totally fine. Faithful Mending. Pretty good. Baffling End's not worth it. Syncopate's totally good. Don't need... Yeah, I don't need this Shatter the Sky right now. My board state's better than yours. Gonna activate Tome, see if we can get a Ponder. Got a Fog. Let's draw with Maze Mind Tome. Just looking for more counter magic at this stage. I need to leave enough for Syncopate to be good. They've got a 9 mana Teferi, so that's 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. So X3 is what I need it to be. Or X4, sorry. So I only really have 2 mana to play with, and or 3 mana, something like that. Either way, I'm just going to swing now. There we go. Got a Dismiss. Hit you for 8, which is a totally acceptable amount to hit you for. And yeah, I think we'll just pass with Dismiss Syncopate. Chemisters don't care. If this was maybe an exile-based counter, I might be more interested. Should also bear in mind we do have a 3/1 flyer ready to go at any point. I mean, I have this Fog, but to be honest, it's just discard fodder to the Celestus. So really no reason for me to want to do that. There is a Wrath of God. So I'm going to try and dismiss this. They can do their saw it coming nonsense. I want to get the counter magic out of their hand as well. That part's important to me. You can't Brazen Borrow your own token or your own creature, and I can only X3 on my Syncopate here. So we'll say deal to that. Right, there's nothing I'm missing here. No, I don't think so. Short of me drawing Pact to Negation off of Faithful Mending, I suppose. We'll give that a shot. Torrential Gear Hulk, that's fantastic. Alright, let's get rid of this Fog. Yeah, that puts me back on the offensive train. Choo choo. 2 cards for our opponent. And second main, what you got? 6 mana remaining. Maze Mine Tome. Deal. Wondering if an end step bolt is where we want to be. I think honestly I'm going to use double bolt to... Oh, well. Tails End's pretty good. I was going to say to hit the Teferi. This just to me looks like end step Torrential Gear Hulk. Giant Growth. That'll help me kill our opponent. Stick for a land. So if we get like Ghost Quarter, that would be really nice. Field of the Dead. Yep, that will work, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I've got plenty enough for Field of the Dead to work. And our opponent doesn't have a Field of Ruin or a Ghost Quarter. So yeah, I think I'm just going to pass with my dominating board state. Opponent's going to go Scrying. Interesting. That means discard Chemisters because they got a bad card here. Yep, just a land. We get to draw and discard because we did nothing. Get rid of this Giant Growth. God, Tome of the Infinite, even when it gives you a bad card, it's so good. Oh, man. I'd say, I feel like my memory might be poor on the subject, but I'm pretty sure we had, like, a bad start. We were on the draw. We had our Search for Counter countered. We were down on our luck, but our opponent tapped out. We managed to get our Seagate Restoration going, and from there it was all upside. So our opponent is just passing. I think that means I'm just gonna flash in a Brazen Borrower. I don't want to flash in Torrential Gear Hulk because it just gets countered. This also might just get countered, but it's a small enough threat that our opponent kind of has to care about it. And if we can sneak our opponent down to 6 life, which shouldn't be too difficult, then the game is ours from there. Let's get that Field of Dead online. Let our opponent know how truly in a horrible state they are. Dark Ritual. That's discard fodder. Hit you. They're going to use their life total as a resource and maybe neglect the fact that Tome of the Infinite can get me lightning bolts. It's not a card you expect against blue-white. Let's draw a card. Power to our opponent, though. Keeping the good game going. Ghost Quarter. There goes there as counter when I need to get rid of it. And... I haven't played anything this turn, right? I have to play 2 spells to get the Celestus flipping without actually just paying for it. I don't need to pay for it. I'm going to draw a card. Omen of the Sea. So if I hit them once with Brazen Borrower, I get them into Lightning Bolt range. From there, we can fight over some stuff. Temple of Enlightenment is not a Field of the Dead answer. I could even Ghost Quarter myself to double stack Field of the Dead triggers. Opponent's going to go for a Doom Scar. I'm going to say that's fine. We can extend this game out a little further. So Gear Hulk leaves me with Syncope X 1, 2, 3, 4. Not enough. And it's 5, 6 because of the Dark Ritual. Still not really enough. Short of them having a 4 mana counterspell. I think it's probably still just worth going for it because I'll kill my opponent with Field of the Dead at this rate. And lightning bolts that I get off Tome of the Infinite. So let's make them have it. Yep. Gains 3 as well. It's a pretty good counterspell for them. So I'm just gonna bolt you. I am now making our opponent very aware that Lightning Bolt exists, which does have its downsides for sure. But that also means that it becomes day. Dump the island. Undo inversion. Would not want to cast that. Let's go Tome. Get a Duress. Lovely. And Disruption in a control matchup. The most ideal scenario. Opponent has to veto it. I Ghost Quarter. Ghost Quarter your Counter to lower your options. Upset the Scry that I think you still have sorted out. That's interesting. I believe they had an Counter activation there, unless I'm missing something. So our opponent's choosing instead to have 3 mana open on my second main phase. On my first main phase, sorry. So I will go to my second main phase. So they don't get that. So, floating mana. What are you going to do with it? They can crack the Omen of the Sea. Yep. And then I'm just going to slam Teferi, I think. Only untaps lands, which, you know, is a blessing and a curse in my particular scenario, because I would love to untap Tome of the Infinite. That would make my day.
Hurry.
Emiria's Call, nice. We've already made our land drop. We don't want to use memory. And yep, that's our turn sorted. So untap, untap. Have that Syncopate ready to go. Teferi, counter unless you pay 5. Is that doable? It's probably doable. Could even use the Dark Ritual. If they have a counter unless you pay 4 or less, I can pay for it with Dark Ritual. Just a hard counter spell. Okay. That's fine.
If you show remorse, I'll keep up the pace.
Gonna tick up. Desperately need the Field of the Dead answer. Because I've got the Teferi answer in my hand right now. I do not have to send these zombies at our opponent's Planeswalkers, so it's not going to gain them life. Day of Judgment. I think I'm just ticking up. Yeah, I'm ticking up to try and find another counter spell. So that I can force this Banishing Light through. Potentially. See if we can get Force Spike. Or a Duress. Duress will work. Force Spike in case of 4 mana counter spells. Really gonna draw and let me have a look. And then they scoop it up. They're not even gonna see what they drew. Oh man. Yeah, well, it wasn't the 40-minute game that I said it would be, but 31 minutes. It's pretty close. Pretty close. Alright, yeah, that was some good old control magic, just as Garfield intended it. It's not to everybody's cup of tea, but I do actually quite enjoy control mirrors in the right circumstances. If you're in a bit of a rush, then a half an hour game's not really what you're looking for. But yeah, I always feel like if you're in a control mirror, as a person who plays control at least, there's some good back and forth there almost all the time, where you can certainly enjoy yourself. And those turns where you literally do nothing and it's draw, go, always lead up to some good end game magic. So, yeah, pretty happy with that one. And yeah, let's go on to the next one. Alright, we're in. We are on the draw. We have a turn 2 Censor. And a turn 3 Supreme Will or potentially Absorb. It's double blue for the Absorb, yeah. If this hand draws lands, it should be good. So I'm going to keep it. We're up against Golos Tireless Pilgrim, a card that should and used to be banned. Alright, we're just going to go with the Undo Sky Ruins here. I'm pretty sure that's always going to be a land for me. And that's a little awkward. I think it's important to hold up and censor here for like turn 3 cultivates and things like that. Certainly keep our opponent delayed on their Golos, I'm pretty sure is important. Elysian Caryatid perfectly playing around censor. Nice. In which case, we're still going to hold the censor. Because the censor can hit Golos next turn. You know, they're going to have to go for a 3-drop here, otherwise it's getting countered. Okay. Props to you, opponent. Playing around the 1 card in my 100-card singleton deck that I do have. We're just going to get rid of it now. Get a neutralize. Crack the Fable Passage for double blue. Let's see, we got normal island, so let's get snow-covered island. Both Field of the Dead decks. Ghost Quarter. How many basics will our opponent have? Is it worth finding out? It's probably not worth finding out. Let's go Snow-Covered Plains. I want to keep the Ghost Quarter to hit Field of the Dead, so that they have to have recursion effects in their deck. Or in their hand. I know they have them in the deck. But, you know, Balaged's recoveries and things like that. Alright, they're going to go for Golos. We are going to go for... I think we'll start with an Absorb. Sweet. Every time Golos resolves, he basically pays for his command attack, so it is important to attack that card on the stack. So you get Reborn. And we can play the Celestus here. I'm going to do this so that we have 3 blue open. It makes it look like we got Archmage's Charm, but also... I get my blue mana no matter what happens if they attack my Celestus, for example. That is a Coma. I'm going to have to upkeep the Coma. Supreme Will, look at the top 4. Oh, that's a pretty good one as well. I want to make my land drops, I think. That's kind of important to me. Let's go with Arch of Araska. So I'm upkeeping the Sublime Epiphany so that I can counter this trigger. Bounce the Coma and draw a card. Just make them do it again. It's a perfect kind of card against us, but I'm going to have to wait a little while until Jwari's Ruins. I'll play that tapped because I can't use the mana. You have to wait a while until I can get that Coma dealt with. I can tuck it, but then I can't protect my Teferi. Let's go on and go for the Golos, get the Field of the Dead. Or World Tree, same difference. So this is Shatter the Sky. A nice Shatter the Sky. No draw for them. Get to hold up and our Neutralize and a Reign of Revelation if they play the Coma. Not much doubt that they will play the Coma here. Yeah. Okay, so let's Reign. Let's get an upkeep stop just in case. Pact of Negation. We'll get rid of that. I need some exile-based removal. So they make a coil. I do not get exile-based removal. I do get to throw my Teferi under the bus in order to get rid of Coma. Do I want to do that this early on? It's hard to say. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have Dismiss plus Neutralize. If I played Teferi and tick up, I'm going to lose Teferi anyway. They're going to get some coils. Yeah, I think I have to pass here. I have to get the Celestus to do its drawing and discarding. Looking for like Settle the Wreckage, Banishing Light, any of that kind of stuff. Get rid of the planes. Gare and Brig. Certainly going to help them play their Golos. Going to take 9. I think this is just a loss for us. Unless we get this Coma answer. Altar of the Pantheon, sure. So this is like Golos being cast several times in as his mana is currently concerned. Cycle the farmland. Seagate Restoration. That could pay out for us. Memory Deluge. We're going to go with the Restoration. Gonna hope our opponent doesn't have the counter magic. Okay. Play a snow-covered island. Still haven't really found the cards we're looking for. But I have Brainstorm plus Negate or Essence Scatter here. Another coil for our opponent. I'm just going to have to like fire off a Wrath just to get rid of the tokens at this point. Chromatic Orrery. Let's see, that's worth a counter. It's hard to say. I know they can play so many worse things than that. Valky is just a 2-1 that dies to my Doomscars. So you get to look at my hand. Look at it while you can, because I'm going to brainstorm and you're not going to know what cards I put back, so all of this is going to become unrevealed. I'll probably use it in a manner-efficient way. It's the worst way to do it. Basically because this card should be sorcery speed, but as my life total may suggest, I don't really have time. And I probably need all the mana I can get. I really need like a Settle the Wreckage. Fateful Absence is a destroy effect. I am filled with a burning rage at how bad these draws have become. Dismiss. Get the Dismiss on top. Another coil for our opponent. Draw and discard the Dismiss. Get rid of Fateful Absence. Draw nothing. Play Castle Vantress. We're deluging, I think, to try and find Settle the Wreckage. That's maybe my only out here. Brazen Borrower. That keeps me alive. And then let's go with, I guess, Search for Azcanta. So bounce you. wrath all of you. I have bought myself a single turn. Will that turn do much for me? Probably not, because they're going to be able to go with Golos here and then get some Field of Dead tokens going, and that's going to be very annoying as well. They're just going to replay Coma, though. Which is totally fair. Not for me, but a fair decision. There's Cast Out. So it's in my best interest to cast out now so they don't get another upkeep with it. You're at a coma. If they ever answer that cast out, I am a dead individual. Let's get my blue in play for now, before I show them my Field of Ruin. They don't need to know about that. They've already seen my Ghost Quarter. I'm going to play Search for Azcanta. I believe this is correct. And then I have Dismiss plus Essence Scatter. I go to 2. I don't know what this 4 mana is. It's nothing. Okay. They have no 4 mana spell at instant speed. Good to know. They just shocked in. That is scary. That is Golos plus 2 mana. Right. How did I get to Golos plus 2 mana? Wasn't this 9 mana? Okay, so let's use this Essence Scatter because it's very hard to use otherwise. The rest of it is just hard counter magic. We prefer to keep that around. Maybe I'm just bad at math because it was 9. Oh, actually, Garenbrig. Garenbrig explains it all. Alright, so I can Brazen Borrower here. They didn't have anything for 4 last time. So it feels safe to assume they don't have it this time. Although, to be honest, I'm kind of in a position where I'm blowing up the board, and that certainly helps with that. I do already have 2 Wraths, so I'm going to graveyard that. Transform. Sphinx's Revelation. That's kind of huge. Kinda huge. This is a Teferi minus line here, I believe. Your token. Leave Dismiss, counterspell. Pass the turn. Shocks again to play Ren and 7. Hello, Ren and 7. How much do I care about you? They'll make a token. I can Wrath. They can get lands in their hand. Short of Field of the Dead. I don't care. They've already played their land. It's going to be really annoying to get rid of the Ren and 7 token, though. So I think I'm going to fight over it. And hope that this isn't just bait to push something else through. Elspeth Conquers Death's a good way to answer anything they're trying to fight through. Gargaroth's not a problem. We just drew the answer to it. Oh, I missed a Azcanta trigger. That could come back to bite me. A little bit too hasty on getting to my combat step, or my main phase step, to get rid of the Gargaroth. Let's get rid of Field of Ruin. as our tap. We want to leave Ghost Quarter up, though. Let's go ECD on the Gargaroth. I think this game is very much in the bag. Yeah. I think we win. So get rid of Gargaroth, hit our opponent for 3. We're ticking up, so we're gaining 2 mana back. We've got as counter activations, we've got drawing and discarding with Celestus and life gain. We've got Sphinx's Revelation to fill our hand up to an absurd amount. Speaking of absurd amounts, we do also have this kind of emblem with Seagate Restoration for no max hand size, so really we can just max this out without any fear of missing out on, you know, card discard at the end of our turn for maximum hand size. And we only really have to spend 2 mana next turn, realistically, 2 to 4 mana, stopping the Golos plus whatever they play. So that's like this 4 mana here. So then our 3 mana Sphinx means that we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a draw 5. It's not bad. Draw 5, game 5. Should win us the game, right? And if it doesn't, I'm sure something will. We've got this memory deluge here, so we've got to dig through time. So yeah, I think we've just got too many resources for our opponent and they ran out. I would imagine Teferi and counter magic is the best way to deal with Golos, because you really do have to deal with it while it's on the stack, because the main strength of Golos is when it enters, it gives you that land. So as long as you make your land drops every turn, in addition to Golos ETBing, you can just replay it over and over and over and over and over again, as well as getting, you know, perfect mana with your World Tree, and then eventually Field of the Dead, so you can get a threat. So this is a win con, a ramp spell, a must answer threat. It's just everything that you really want a card to be, and it sits in the one zone where it's always available. It's kind of silly. Kind of silly and absurd, but speaking of silly and absurd, this deck won again, so that's pretty good, and it's a 20-minute match, so I think that's actually going to do it for today's video. It's not usual that we only have a 2-game matchup, but if there's anyone that's going to do it, it's probably going to be the Teferi slow roll control deck. So yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you have, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content similar but maybe not like this in the future. And without further ado, gonna end it off here. Take care and peace.